Hello, everyone, and welcome to an introduction to iNaturalist and to eBird Basics. My name is Ethan Bott, and I work at the Urban Ecology Center. So today, we are going to be learning about iNaturalist and eBird, as this is kind of the precursor lecture for tomorrow for the Yardversity event, where we will be using both iNaturalist and eBird to document the diversity in our backyards or our green spaces that we call home, whether that's a nearby park or a little green space on your apartment flat or whatever that is to you. I'm very excited to kind of start this Yardversity Blitz kind of idea. And we're hoping to do this on a monthly basis, but tomorrow is our first official, kind of unofficial but official launch of the Yardversity event. And I'm just super excited, and we're going to see how it goes. And I'm glad that you all either will be participating or will get so inspired by this lecture and how cool these apps are that you're going to want to join with us. So again, welcome. Let's talk about what is iNaturalist. Oh yeah, okay, first let's talk about what we're going to talk about. So we're going to talk about what and why iNaturalist is and why it's important. And then we might get into the history of birds and community science and kind of what is eBird and how to submit a checklist. We'll see how much time we have with that. In the link of the video, and I'll ask Maggie to link you all to those eBird series lectures if you want to really learn more about eBird on a more advanced level. But I'll quickly show you how to share a checklist with the Urban Ecology Center because we'll be collecting that data both on iNaturalist and on eBird, so we can kind of group the data together. Okay. And then of course, we'll finish with Q&A at the end, and you can always ask questions at any point during the lecture. So iNaturalist is a free app that you can download on both your iOS and Android. That is basically kind of a photography based app that identifies species of any living organism that you are able to get a photograph of. You can also use audio as well. So photos or audio you can use to, it'll help you identify species. And then that data that you take a picture of is then actually submitted to kind of an international data set. Where researchers from around the world can access that data. And the cool thing is that the community actually verifies the datings to make it legitimate data, right? If it's just like one person that says that they saw this, that's good. But then the fact if someone else can verify that sighting, it elevates the integrity of that data from solid to research level, or what they call research grade. So this is a partnership or collaboration between UC Berkeley in California and National Geographic to make this app that's now around the world, and there are millions of people using this app, or hundreds of thousands of people using this app. Oh yeah, it uses AI to kind of artificial intelligence to guess at what the best guess of what that species is. And it's super easy to use. You can use it on a smartphone. If you have access to a smartphone that has a camera or at least Wi-Fi connection at some point, you are able to literally just go outside with your phone, take a picture of a plant or animal, a fungi, any living organism, and it will then do its best guess at identifying it. A lot of people use this. This is for birders, naturalists, hikers, teachers and students. I have a full list. Mushroom foragers, park rangers, ecologists, anyone that kind of enjoys being outside and wants to understand nature on a deeper level, this is what iNaturalist is for you. For those that are kind of more casual or who don't care too much about the intensity of the data, I'll talk about another app called Seek. That will be kind of the route that will go, that would be better for that. So again, it's super simple. You just have your phone, you take a photo, couple clicks, and you're ready to submit data to the international data set. So it is on the website and it's on your app. It's a lot easier using it on an app, but if you have, say, a camera and you're taking pictures of insects that are really far away, or something, or you have a really nice macro lens on the camera, then you would be uploading your pictures to the iNaturalist website. So hopefully at this point, if you haven't done it already, I'd encourage you to go to iNaturalist.org or download the app on your phone and create an account. Feel free to do that while I'm talking. Yeah, go ahead and do that. And then again, as I said, I'll talk about Seek. Some of you may know what Seek is or have heard of it. I'll talk a little bit about that as well. All right, so why is iNaturalist so amazing? Like, what's in it for you? Why should you do it? Hold on, I don't know if you can see that. My screen might be blocking that. There we go. As I'm working in the community science department here at the Urban Ecology Center. So front and forth center is that you get to contribute to community science, and you're contributing to an international data set, and you get to help advance like the identification of the different species. You could ID, if you're a master in a certain species of something in one part of the world, you could be really good at identifying that and help the researchers with your knowledge. Oops, there we go. So they have those almost 45 million observations, where yesterday we were at like 43.9 million, and we were now at 44 million observations today. So people are just uploading like crazy into iNaturalist, and this is the perfect thing to do right now, kind of when things are not fully open with everything that's going on. And so this is a perfect time to focus on your backyard and really see what's going on. Again, a lot of people are using it. There are over 80,000 active users every day. It's literally around the world in almost every country it's being used. And then you can kind of like, for birding, a lot of people like list and like knowing like what they've seen. In the same way, this kind of keeps your life list of plants and animals it gets saved in the cloud, and you can go back very easily and see 5 years ago I saw this this insect or this plant. And then it's also really helpful to know what people are seeing around you. Are they seeing rare plants? Are they seeing rare fungi or unusual things? And so you can kind of crowdsource from other people to learn what's around you. And then of course it is for everyone. The last thing I want to talk about is why this is super important. Is we're in need to understand the changes in the world and what's happening. And your backyard is a perfect place to kind of track that change. We're in the midst of climate change, diversity decline, and there's a lot of things impacting the world. And you can help us and start categorizing those changes over time by submitting your data to iNaturalist. There's a recent documentary on Netflix called Our Planet, narrated by David Attenborough. And it's really one of the first nature documentaries that kind of talks about that we need to act and we need to do something. And it's not just your classic Birds of Paradise documentary or seeing the wildebeest migrating, and which is very beautiful, but it kind of is like kind of a call to action that we need to do better, and that we need to observe these changes that are happening in the world that we're living in. So I could talk a lot more about why it's super important, but hopefully that convinced you. But feel free to look at this this graph over here in the top right. It's pretty interesting to see some of the data that's been collected so far in iNaturalist, kind of in a easy-ish way to read, categorized by plants. And so we see that most of the data has come from North America. We see a lot of plant observations, and each dot is 1 million observations. This is as of 2019, I believe. So it's a little bit outdated by about half a year or so. But it's just interesting to see where the data is and what's been collected and stuff. All right, so let us get into adding observations now. So now that I've convinced you to use iNaturalist to download and make your account, let's get into submitting your data. So I'm gonna stop sharing my screen here. I'm gonna switch over to a different browser. Just one second. All right. So once you log into iNaturalist and you make your account, you're going to have a series of options up here, and then you'll I'll get more into a little bit, but what you're going to need to know the most is the upload button in the right here, kind of in the upload where it says upload. So after you create your account and you're just ready to get data in, say you used a camera and you have them now on your computer, you're going to go ahead and click upload. And then you're going to go to wherever you store your photos and say right here, I picked a variety of, say I took these pictures here, which I didn't, I just took them from Google. You're going to drag and paste them into this viewer window type per se. And you're going to see all your beautiful, wonderful, clear images pop up. And in this case, when you upload it to, oh no, it does do AI. So the first thing you can do is you see this green box around this first species that I have. If you click within species name, it will automatically start identifying what it thinks it is, whether that's to the species or family level, whatever it is. And so it's confident that it's in the superfamily of typical sawflies, but it could be in this genus and stuff like that. So if you go through and you click on these, let's do a really simple one to start off with the eastern chipmunk. If you click here, one of the top suggestions is the eastern chipmunk, and it guessed that correctly. So you can just go ahead and click that. We have here, say I took some pictures of this, which, what is it? I click on it. I'm pretty sure when the Google image I tried to find was bergamot. So this is what I think it is, and I'm going to select that. You'll see it gives you a wide variety of options. The top being what it thinks is the most likely. So I'm going to click on select wild bergamot. This is also bergamot, obviously from a different photo, a different angle. But say you take multiple pictures of the same species, you can actually just click on it and drag it into this box. And now I've combined that sighting, and you can see one of two here. I now have two pictures in kind of one entry. It's important to submit multiple sightings or multiple photos of one observation because say for a snake, if you just get a picture of the face, there are a lot of field markings on the body of the snake that can help identify it. So if you can get a picture of the body of the snake and the head, that would be ideal. Same with the plant. If it's flowering, if you can get a photo of the flower, the petals, and even the general overall structure of the plant, that's super helpful. So the more photos, the better. Yeah. So go ahead and put that date and time in here in this section. So I pulled these from Google, so it doesn't really matter. I'm not going to submit this data. Don't worry about that. Looks like somehow it pulled from 2018 for there, so we'll just keep that. And then location is pretty important to know where you spotted this observation. A map will show up if you use your phone and you don't allow location data, or your camera and it doesn't have a GPS in it. You're going to have to zoom in on this map specifically to where you took that photo. So we'll pretend we took this in Three Bridges Park. We'll just pretend. So I'm zooming in. Where am I? There we go. And we're going to pretend we saw it right over here. So the more you zoom in, the more specific you give that the precision of where you saw it. And then you can change it by, if you don't want to be that precise or you're not sure, you can kind of open it up. And so maybe you saw it somewhere in Three Bridges Park, so you could go like that. Or if you know, I know for sure I saw it right here, go ahead and change that. It's helpful to give more precise information, but it's not necessary. Say you go to Three Bridges Park a lot, and it's kind of annoying to reselect your location all the time, especially when your phone or camera doesn't keep that location. In the bottom right, you can actually click pin location here. So I could call this, I could change my note to Three Bridges, spell, Park, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, USA, and I can select pin. And now in the future observations, because I say I go through Bridges Park every single day and I'm using iNaturalist, then it'll save me time if I have a pin location. All right, let's go ahead and do update observations. And now you'll see my observation is updated, oops, I found it, is with Three Bridges Park, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So go ahead and fill out all that location and date information for all of them. But say tomorrow for the Yardversity Blitz, you go out to Three Bridges Park and you get 100 photos of all these amazing species. And you have 100 photos in here. And I wouldn't recommend putting 100 at a time. I'd maybe do 20 at the most, uploading into iNaturalist, or it can kind of bog things down and confuse you. What you can do is you can select all here. And now you see all these are selected in green. And then if you go to the left-hand side, anything I do here impacts all of them. So like, let's say I want to put some weather information in here, maybe sunny and 52 degrees, or probably 70 degrees, that would be more accurate. And you can see that it now applies to all 4 of my observations, that note. And say it was all at the same location at my Three Bridges Park. So I can now select the pin location I created, Three Bridges Park. Go ahead and select that. Update observations, and now all 4 of my observations are quickly have that same location. So this is going to save you a lot of times. Go ahead and do that with the date. Say we did that yesterday at 4:17 p.m. Obviously for species, you could individually go and identify each species. If you can't identify it to species, or it doesn't know what it is to that specific species, just go ahead and go to the next highest guess that it thinks it is. Unless you know for sure that it is like wild bergamot, just go ahead and take its best guess.
Hey, Ethan?
Yep.
So Sunny and Mitch mentioned that, Sunny and or Mitch mentioned that they can't find this page, or it looks very different on the latest version in the chat. And then I guess I would also say you probably wouldn't enter Three Bridges Park information on Yardversity, since that's a public.
Yeah, oh, that great question. I'm not sure about the question about why it doesn't look like this. Yeah, I don't know why it would look different. Maybe I can work with you after. We could kind of work through, and maybe you could share your screen and I could help you through. But it should just be in the iNaturalist page, and then over here there's an upload section. So there's got to be an upload button somewhere in iNaturalist, and then yeah, I'm not sure. So I'll work with you after.
Hey, Ethan, one more thing. Are you gonna go through how to do it on the phone too?
Yep, I'm doing that right after this.
Awesome.
Yep. Right. So yeah, correct, Tim. For location, so if it was your backyard, say you lived, let's find the backyard. Let's say you lived right over here. You can just click, that's your house. Boom. National Park house, and then update observation. So yeah, so go ahead and name your house whatever you want. Some of the things I'm talking about now will apply to when you upload stuff on a phone. So it asks you over here in the left-hand side if it's captive or cultivated. A lot of researchers value the data that is like wild, quote unquote. So like anything that hasn't been planted or impacted, or like hasn't been planted by humans. So if you planted a tree, that's technically not wild. But if that tree that you planted then sprouts seeds and there are other little seedlings around it, then that would be wild, considered wild. So there's a lot of gray area. Like you're not going to take pictures of your cat or your dog and put it onto iNaturalist. You can, but just make sure then you select the captive and cultivated option here. All right, so then you would click submit for observations. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna delete this after, so don't worry, I'm not submitting. I'll be sure to delete the data. So the more observations you have, the longer it will take. So that's briefly how you do it for the web. I can show you how to do audio as well, but I don't think we'll have time for that. You unfortunately can't submit video to iNaturalist. So there's so many great things I want to show you on iNaturalist, but the one really cool thing I'm going to show you is the Explore button in the top corner. And this shows you the worldwide data. This is where, okay, we have 44 million observations seen around the world since iNaturalist started. We've had over 286,000 species identified on iNaturalist. Like 146,000 people have been identifying it, and over 1 million people who have submitted data on iNaturalist. So this is a really great way to kind of see the worldwide, where things are worldwide. And then you can break it down by location, like I could do in the United States here. Why don't we do that real quick? And this is just kind of exciting to see how big iNaturalist is. And you could look at your state or your city, your county, your stuff like that. So we've had 23 million observations in the United States alone. So I'm not gonna spend a lot of time in here because now you know how to upload on the web. All right, so let's move to a mobile device on how to share it with a mobile device. I'm gonna stop share here. I can do a new share. All right. I'm gonna plug you into my mobile device. And I'm going to share that screen with you. Let's see if we can get this to work. One second here. All right, sharing screen, my iPhone. All right. I think you can all see that. So I'm going to go ahead and go to, I downloaded iNaturalist, and I pretended like this is from the very beginning, as if I just downloaded it. So you're going to see this page, and you can just kind of, oh, by the way, I am doing this on iOS. I'm sure it looks a little different on Android, and it might, some of the buttons might be different, but I think for the general idea, it should be the same. Just wanted to let you all know. So go ahead and swipe through some of this stuff. It'll tell you kind of what iNaturalist is and why it's important and really cool. You can observe, you can identify based on the photo and location, and then you can discuss when you share it with the community to make it a really high level observation. And then you're contributing to international research. And then it'll ask you to log in or create an account. If you don't have an account, you have new to iNaturalist right below the login button, and it says sign up now. So I'm going to quickly sign in, and I'm actually going to stop sharing so you can technically see the login information when I type it in. But I just really wanted to show you what it looked like to that point. So bear with me as I log in. And we'll get going again. Of course, I misspelled something. So go ahead and everybody log in. There we go. Great. I am logged in. All right. Waiting for it to read it. It's not connecting. Technical difficulties. There we go. Hey, okay, good. All right. So this is the Urban Ecology Center account, even though it said M Flower. But this is an Urban Ecology Center account, and you can see we have 584 observations. Those top four were the ones I actually just submitted about 2 minutes ago. So there's obviously a lot of data here, so don't worry about that. Let's pretend you're about to go outside tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. and here you are with your new account. All you're going to need to worry about is clicking the observe button in the very bottom. You're going to click observe with a little camera. You're going to have to give it access to, it's going to want to access to your camera, to your photo, to your location. Yeah, really annoying, but you should probably say yes to all of them because location is super important for iNaturalist. It helps like verify the integrity of the observation that you're finding. So go ahead and click OK. And I'm gonna pretend like you're just gonna go and take a photo of whatever you see. But here I already have a preloaded photo, so I'm just gonna pretend that I took a picture of this in my backyard. And so you're gonna go snap the photo, you find the picture of the plant, the animal, the little insect that you see, take that picture, and then you'll be at this stage. All right, now you're gonna click next. And it's going to kind of take you to this overall page with a variety of different questions that it has. You're going to see your picture at the very top in that really tiny photo. And then the next thing you're going to do is you're going to click, what did you see? With that question mark. I'm going to go ahead and click that. And this is when the AI software is working through and guessing at what it thinks it is. The more data that's submitted through iNaturalist, the better that this software becomes. And it correctly guessed wild bergamot for this species. And so you'll see that it's pretty sure that it's in the genus Monarda, in the bee balm and bergamot. So it's like, it knows it's not gonna be wrong for that. But if you wanna I'm pretty sure that it is wild bergamot. Well, I know it is. And so you can, with a high likelihood of it being right, you can select the, here are the top 10 species. So I'm gonna go ahead and click wild bergamot. Go ahead and put any notes in there if there's anything of interest. You don't need to. If you're using your phone and you allow it to give location data and all of that, it's first of all gonna have the right date and time of when you took that photo. So I took this photo on July 7th and it knew that. But like, pretending if I took this tomorrow at 9 a.m., it would say July 18th at 9 a.m. And then I took this in Three Bridges Park. But again, if I took this at my house or somewhere around there, it would then say the correct location. And then a big thing here is geo-privacy. And if I go ahead and click that, there are three options: open, obscured, and private. I would highly recommend you keep it as open. Technically, people can see that information. So if I then go onto the Explore page on iNaturalist, I could find in general where you're posting information from. So it helps, but it's not necessary. If you go to obscured, the public can't see. If I post something from my house, they'll see in general that I posted something in like it's like a 20-kilometer area, so it's really obscured. Like they might know you posted it somewhere in Milwaukee, but they don't know exactly where. The helpful thing is that when you share it with a specific project for Yardversity Blitz, and I'll show you how to do that, it actually gives us that precise location information just from the curator, manager, and the thing. So that's super important to have that specific location. So the public, if you go private, no one will even know that you posted it unless you share it with a specific project. So go ahead and use those options to what you think it is. I recommend open for the most part. However, if you have kids using iNaturalist, this is the big distinction between Seek, the other free app that identifies plants and animals, and iNaturalist, is that it's kind of a safety concern if you have kids posting a bunch of information or a bunch of photos, and maybe they're not posting plants and animals, and it's pictures of themselves. Like, that's up to you to decide, and so you can go to obscured or private. So I just wanted to let you all know what that was. It was confusing to me, and so I had to do some research to really figure out what that was. And the other thing, Yep, go
Just
ahead.
really quickly chime in, just because there are a couple questions that came to me privately too.
Sure.
So if you don't choose open and you do choose obscured, but it is still in a backyard, even if it's not in your backyard, I think the importance for Yardversity is that we're trying to collectively find out what are in backyards. So even if you don't have, even if you're not comfortable, and that's totally fine, giving the specific location of it, but just knowing that it is in a backyard, you could still enter it into the Yardversity project that Ethan's going to talk about. So with that sighting, even if it's not your backyard, I think the goal here is it's not like a public space, which you can still use iNaturalist to enter things in for public spaces and other projects. There's an urban ecology center project for our specific spaces, but in Yardversity, we're trying to keep it to backyards, and so it's fine if it's obscure. Just as long as we know it's
correct. Yeah. Let me show you a quick little trick that you can do in eBird, and you can also do it here. Is if you go click on the Menominee River, where you see Menominee River, that's like technically where you put in location. Go ahead and click on that, and kind of zoom out and say this where you see the crosshairs, that's your home, and you don't want your location saying that you're from there. Just go ahead and move it like down the block, or put it at some intersection. Maybe put it at this intersection over here of Pearson, whatever street this is. So you can so instead of everybody knowing this is your backyard, this is where I'm collecting all this amazing data, just go ahead and put it in the street somewhere, and then pin that location as I showed you. And now that's good enough to be maybe 50 meters away from where you actually are collecting data. So go ahead and click save like that.
We had a quick question about having a halfway point between open and obscured, and I'm wondering if maybe what Ethan just showed was kind of a solution to that, being able to zoom out of where you are.
I think I think you should all feel comfortable. Just it's fine being obscured and private, as long as you're sharing it correctly with the project that we're going to talk about. Then we get that data fully. So feel free to use obscured and private, as your privacy is extremely important. So especially with your backyards. So go ahead and use obscured or private. It's just super cool when there's more data out there to kind of see where everything's coming from. But your privacy is obviously of most concern. So
to Maggie's point, what if you kept a specific location, but maybe just put the intersection, the intersection near your house, so it's not specific to your house, but it's close enough.
Right. Just like in eBird, when you kind of create your backyard as a pinned location in eBird, you can move it away from your yard, your home, and kind of put it to an intersection, and that's totally fine. So yeah. Happy to talk about it later about kind of privacy and stuff like that. There are probably a lot of questions on that, and rightfully so. But I'm just going to kind of keep moving on so we can stay on track. The next question is captive or cultivated. And if you click on it, it's very simple, yes or no. For the most part, really we're looking at wild things. So in terms of broader things, it's ideal if you're capturing wild observations. However, we don't want to stop you. If you have tomato plants, you're planting a garden or a native prairie. If you purposely planted that, just be sure to say yes, that it is captive or cultivated. That's a big distinction. If you planted your prairie native garden 2 years ago and you haven't touched it, and there are new plants coming up, well, then you can probably say that's not captive. So there are a lot of forums and questions about the difference between captive and cultivated and wild or not. So just use your best judgment. Just be sure that if you know for sure you planted it or you place it there, that then you say it is captive. Obviously for insects and other things like that, that you're not growing ants and releasing them, and I mean maybe you are, but for the most part you'll be saying no for wildlife, unless you're taking pictures of your dog or hamsters. Again, that data is not very helpful to the general idea of iNaturalist, but that's totally up to you if you want, and just make sure you select the correct yes or no.
Quick question on that one too.
Yep.
what if you have a caterpillar that you collected, for instance, from your backyard and then maybe from someone else's or a park or something? What would you put for that?
Yeah, I would. That's a really good question. That's kind of in the gray area. My gut would say that it would be wild. Um, Maybe the best thing would be to take a picture on iNaturalist first while it's where you found it, and kind of categorize it in that moment, and then later, then you can raise it and stuff like that. That's a great question. It's again, there are a lot of different. There's so much gray area with that question, and I think with the geoprivacy and the captive and cultivated, that's where it's the most controversy or like kind of like debate about how to do what one should do. So obviously that's here, but for the most part, you're going to be saying no. All right, the next really important thing specifically for Yardversity Blitz is the very bottom part where it says projects. So go ahead and click on projects. And you're going to see that the Urban Ecology Center has been part of a variety of different projects over the years. When you click on it, you're likely going to see nothing show up, which is fine. I'll have to go back and show you how to add that. But basically, when you take the photo, you're going to select Yardversity Blitz, and I'm going to encourage you, and I'll talk about it, to also add data to Yardversity. So there's Yardversity and Yardversity Blitz. Yardversity Blitz is just for tomorrow. We're kind of just testing it out on Yardversity Blitz, but we'd like you to submit data as well to Yardversity, which hopefully becomes the national project where everybody's submitting data. So, okay, I'm going to show you how to find that project, but that is what you're going to do when you get an observation, when you go outside and you take that picture. And you're now going to click share at the very bottom. And you're going to see that kind of green thin line, kind of just like it's syncing, it's waiting. Depending on your connection, on my own personal phone, that's pretty old. It takes a while. It takes like half a minute to get going. And depends on your Wi-Fi strength and stuff like that. But then it'll eventually go in there. Okay, so the important thing though is you need to add that project Yardversity Blitz and Yardversity to that dropdown. And so you're going to go in the bottom part, you're going to see explore, activity, observe, me, and then you're going to go to projects. So go ahead and click on projects. See now it's asking for my location. I usually say allow while using app. Go ahead and skip this. You can say got it. And you can see I've joined them. I should have, yeah, there we go. So that's funny. I couldn't see it until I scrolled down, but there should be a search bar at the very top. So like when I came in, I couldn't see it, but if you just pull down a little bit, you're gonna search for the project name, ... And you're gonna type in Yardversity. And you're gonna see throughout the whole world, there are only 2 projects named that have Yardversity in it. And lo and behold, they are both related. So go ahead and click on Yardversity Blitz. And at the top, right below the logo, you're gonna see the logo, Yardversity Blitz. And then right now you see leave, but you're actually gonna join. There should be a join button there. I should have left this before. Why don't I leave it now? And then I'll join it to kind of show you how that process. So I'm gonna click on projects. Here I am in projects. I'm gonna search Yardversity. I'm gonna go to Yardversity Blitz. Okay, it must not. It's probably not quick enough to recognize I left. But you're gonna click join there. Go ahead and join Yardversity as well. This is Yardversity. We'd love for you to join that and add data. You can see we have quite a bit of data here already for that, for Yardversity. So now that you're joined, now you can go back to observe and you can finish that observation that you had. So let's just go through one more sample. Let's let's see, this clear one. Okay, say, well, maybe you catch a dragonfly in your backyard. We'll say that happens. You're gonna click next. What did you see? Common whitetail, that's its best guess. This is where it happened. It remembers the time and place. And then you're gonna go to projects and you're gonna turn on the button for Yardversity Blitz and for Yardversity. Don't worry about, for Yardversity, it asks for count habitat insects. Don't worry about that. You're gonna click back. There's no like done or accept button, at least on iOS. It's kind of weird. So just go back, and then it should say 2 there, and then you're part of the 2 projects, and then click share. And then if you go to me, you should see it uploading. You can see the wild bergamot uploaded from earlier before. All right, just a quick couple things. Taking photos with your phone for insects or animals can be difficult because lo and behold, they don't stay in one location the whole time. They do move. So a couple tips for taking pictures of wildlife. If you're not going to get a picture of the bird that's really high up in the tree with your smartphone, and there's some things you are just going to miss. But for the tree or the little seedling or the flower that you see in your backyard, the tip would be to get close, to get as close as you can and get a clear photo, and get it from multiple photos and multiple angles to help strengthen your observation. So those would be the quick little tips for taking photos with your phone. I'm sure you can find a lot on YouTube as well on how to better do that. But having clear photos is very, very helpful. All right, let me see where I'm getting off.
We just had a quick question, Ethan, about is there any way to share audio files in iNaturalist if you have a bird call recorded but you don't have a photo or something like that?
Yes, there is a way to do that. You have to do that online. There's similar to eBird, when you're on the phone or the app, there's a lot less functionality, but once you get it online, you can do a lot more. So that might be a good, let me talk about one more thing and then I'll get to that. I want to talk about the research grade of what we're trying to get our data to be. So I'm going to click on this Halloween pennant from 5 years ago, and beautiful picture, likely taken with a camera and then uploaded onto a computer. And you're going to look at the bottom and you're going to see this green line going from casual grade to needs ID to research grade. The goal is to get the data to be research grade, where it's then able to be used, well, first by a lot of people from around the world trust that level when it gets to research grade. So what do you need your photo to be to get to research grade? First, it needs to have a date, an accurate date. Like, you want to be right when you took the photo, that was the date. Like, if I said I saw this in January in Wisconsin, that date would then indicate that it was false, because you wouldn't be seeing this in the middle of winter. That it has a georeference location, so this was taken in Riverside Park, as you can see in that map. And then it needs a photo or a sound, so we have the proof of the Halloween pennant here. And then it isn't captivated or cultivated. If it is, if you take a picture of your dog or the flower you planted, that's totally fine to take a picture of it, but it just won't become research grade, which means, again, that like it won't be used around the world, or people won't be able to, aren't likely to access that data then as much. So, and then you'll see at the very bottom, that's in 2 projects. I'm not sure which 2 projects those are in, but yeah. So just wanted to let you know that that's kind of, it takes time for that to happen. If you click on this middle, like, talking ... bubble, you can see right when you submit it, you're only going to see your name ID. So Ethan Bot's ID, or in this case, M Flowers ID. And it'll take maybe a couple of days or a couple of weeks for people to confirm your your observation. And we can see 2 random people, Richard and I can't pronounce that person's name. They confirmed that this was a Halloween pennant. And so you have 3 people confirming that this is a Halloween pennant, which makes it really powerful that it really was a Halloween pennant and that it wasn't like made up and stuff like that. So cool. All right, I'm gonna show you quickly how to share audio, or how to upload audio. So if you go to the upload button here, same thing. I actually have an audio here because I thought that question might come up. So wherever you have your audio, you're going to do it on the computer. You're going to drag and drop. This actually, I took this recording. I'm not sure if you're able to hear. I don't know if you were able to hear that because I can't, like, it's ingrained into the website. But it was actually a yellow-throated warbler that was here in the Twin Cities. It's a pretty rare bird for around here. The thing to know about audio is that if you click here, usually if it's a photo, it'll automatically identify it, but it doesn't do it for audio. So I actually have to type in here, yellow-throated warbler, and then select it. And then I can select the date and time and notes and stuff like that. And then I can submit that observation. So that's how you do audio really quick on how to do that. So again, you can only do audio and photos into iNaturalist. There's no anecdotal, like I saw a yellow-throated warbler, or I heard, or I saw this dragonfly, or I saw this rare plant. You need proof either by a photo or an auditory. So, all right. I had a lot of other things I was going to go into, but we don't have time for that. So let's see. It's really hard. This thing is blocking my view. We'll go back. Yes, leave. Okay, so now you know. Oh yeah, I show you how to join a project online. So if you go to iNaturalist, your account that you comes up, just go ahead and click on projects, and then where's the all projects? Here we go, and you can search Yardversity. Okay, so let's go through that again. I went through that pretty quickly. So you're going to go on your home page. You're going to click on iNaturalist. You're going to go to projects here on the right. You're going to go to all projects. And then you're going to search Yardversity. It's super important that you do join the project, or we won't get your data. We won't know. You'll still submit data to the overall database, but we won't know that you were part of this really cool project. So go ahead and click on Yardversity Blitz. I'm already a part of it, so I can't remember where the join part would be, but it would be somewhere around here. So that's how you do that. I could show you a lot more about like how you can get into identifying, like if you want to become a community scientist and start identifying other observations. If you do online, you would do it online, not on your phone. You would just go here and say you're a pro at identifying eastern towhees. You could then put that in, say in the United States, because you're really good at identifying them. And then you'll see everyone's recordings and observations. As you can see, a lot of the ones that are left are eggs, which are pretty hard to identify unless you're a pro in egg eastern towhee identification. But any species, plant, animal, fungi, whatever. Another thing I want to show you while I remember it is in the Explore, when you're looking at all the data, say you can zoom into one area. Where's Milwaukee? There we are. Let's redo search in this area. And you're going to see all these different colors. These represent the publicly recorded observations with the geoprivacy of open. So the color correlates to the taxon, if it's a plant, an animal, a fungi, and I'll talk about that. But if you really zoom in, you're going to see, it might be hard to see, but you're going to see like a white dot inside of the color, whether it's green or orange. If there's a white dot, it means it's reached the level of research grade. So if I click on this, I don't know what it is, Black-eyed Susan, it has obtained the level of research grade. If it does not have a black or a white dot, it doesn't have research grade, and so just interesting. This is super helpful. That shows you the colors of what the colors mean when you're in that Explore function online. So blues correlate to the mammals, reptiles, fishes, amphibians, and birds. The yellows are other. The plants are green, funguses are in purple, and then the reds are the spiders, insects, and some of the water organisms and stuff. So that's just super helpful. I recommend there's a lot that you can see on iNaturalist on the website, so I'd encourage you to check it out. If you go to more video tutorials or help, there's just so much here to help you if you have any trouble posting an observation, exploring what the organisms mean, organisms and such. That's helpful to go to. Yeah, I didn't get to eBird, but I encourage you to watch the lectures, my eBird Basics lecture, and you'll be sharing it with Urban Eco CTR once you get to the sharing portion of that. So I encourage you to watch those videos. Let me know if you have any questions. And that's your basic intro to iNaturalist and not to eBird. And there's so much. There's just so much more in iNaturalist. So I'll stop talking. And so thank you for coming to the intro to iNaturalist lecture. And I'm excited for you all to get started with Yardversity Blitz tomorrow.